MountainCare. Hope that everybody is doing well, staying safe and healthy. Thought we would reach out to you today with a little video and show you some of the things that the staff is up to. Here around the Fisher household, we are working on making some masks. Also, Keisha is working on them. Now, I want you to know that Nick has already made some masks for us, but Keisha and I are working on a project that Amy researched on the internet, and she found masks that have see-through mouths. Now, yes, I'm going to tell you, when you see it on, it is pretty funny to look at. But if you've had the experience yet of speaking to someone with a mask covering your mouth, you'll know that it's a lot harder to hear when you can't see people's lips. So Amy found this video, and we thought we would experiment with trying to make some masks that have a clear mouth so that you can be able to see our lips when we are back together at MountainCare. Lucky for me, as this project came about, my mom came into town. My mom is a wonderful seamstress. Now, she is behind the camera right now. I'm certain shaking her head, saying no, she's not a great seamstress, and please don't judge her by whether or not her seams are straight or crooked. But I can tell you from experience, she's made the curtains in every single house I've owned as an adult, so she does a fantastic job. So I asked her, hey Mom, can you help me out with this project? I'd like to make these masks. I said, I have a project for us. And then we laughed and said, did I really mean us, or did I just really mean her? Because I'm more of just kind of the assistant. I'm great at handing her stuff or cutting things out, not so much with the sewing machine like Nick and Keisha are. So my mom is here today. I'm going to pause the video just for a moment, and we're going to switch the camera over so that you will be able to see two of the demos that we've made, and I'm going to show you some of the sewing that goes on and the steps that follow. All right, MountainCare, so here you can see two examples of what we've been working on. The one on the left is a little bit smaller. That was the first one that Mom made, and seems to fit me pretty well, but then we tried it on my husband and didn't work out too well. So she enlarged the pattern and made the one on the right hand side. So our goal is to make a couple of each of those. Now I want to be sure I give credit where credit is due and show you this pattern. In looking on the internet, she did try a couple of things actually, but we ended up settling on this one here. This is a pattern by Sewing Seeds of Love Patterns and Workshops that they provided on their YouTube channel. And we made the one on the top first, as you can see, is the smaller one, and then behind it you can probably see a little bit larger one where she enlarged the pattern and cut that out. Over here on our right are a few of our supplies. Fabric, which, as I mentioned, my mom does quite a bit of sewing, so this was some leftover fabric from a project that she happened to have lying around, as well as some elastic, which is what we're using for the earpieces. You also, of course, see those scissors in the background where we were cutting out the patterns themselves, as well as some invisible tape. Now, what she'd used the invisible tape for is, let me move over here, and I'm going to show you a few that she's already cut out. That invisible tape, you can see here, we're using plastic sheet protectors for the mouthpiece. Now, if you've ever had an important document at work, something that you wanted to keep it safe from, let's say, getting any water stains on it, you would have used one of those. And that's what we used, simply, was that. So that invisible tape is used to help her kind of tape it to the fabric before she begins to sew, so it won't slip around a whole lot. So with that, I'm going to bring the camera up a little bit, and I'm going to introduce you to my mom. This is my mom, Susan. Say hi to MountainCare, Mom.
Good rainy afternoon, MountainCare. I hope everyone is doing well, and hopefully you might enjoy this video. I don't know. I'm a little bit of a novice. I think that Stacy definitely overspoke. Clearly, I am not a magnificent seamstress, but I am always willing to help out. As she said, yes, I do have some fabric sort of kind of stored around at my house.
That's an understatement.
What we're using today is fabric that was, quite frankly, designated to complete a project for my grandson's bedroom. But as Stacy says, yeah, you don't even want to enter that room. So we've had, again, that fortunate in the fact that it's very generic. It's not too girly, it's not too masculine. It's the kind of fabric that can be used and worn by everybody. So as Stacy said, definitely we did a little internet search. We, utilizing this particular pattern, of course, obviously, as she showed you, we have indeed cut out the two pieces, which of course, again, if indeed you know anything about sewing, we're putting the two right sides together so that indeed we can create our seams. You can see that prior to that though, we cut the window out so that indeed once we secure and put our seam allowance in, we will be inserting the plastic window over that. So the next step, once you've cut all the two particular pieces out, as I dare say, front and lining, but we're using the same fabric. Then again, we just simply pressed the opening, and now we're going to go ahead and just take a 3/8 seam allowance and go all the way around. So let me get behind that machine and see if we can make it happen. Okay, so let's go ahead and put our two pieces together. Now, my sister is an excellent seamstress, and she would literally just lay this fabric together and start sewing. Well, I don't have that confidence. So I always take a few moments to actually pin the two pieces of fabric together before I start sewing. So again, following along our seam, we're just going to hopefully, quickly pull this larger mass together. Now, like I said, if this were my sister, she would have already been complete. I could tell a story about this sewing machine on Stacy, but
Oh no.
I think I will. This sewing machine is actually hers. She actually owns a sewing machine. And again, as I mentioned, my sister Carolyn, as a wedding gift, she gave Stacy a sewing machine.
A mere 26 years ago.
Yeah, but every household has to have a sewing machine. Well, that sewing machine lasted practically forever, which happens when you never use it. But I was here, I don't know, maybe about a year or so ago, once again, working on one of those little tiny projects she had for me, which was to recover her outdoor patio furniture. So I'm working diligently because, quite frankly, that was the same weekend as my grandson's graduation. So we had to get that project done. Well, I am just about complete. And I want you to know that sewing machine, that dear sewing machine, just decided to die. Well, knowing I was going to get that project complete, I quickly once again got on the internet. I found the closest fabric store here in Asheville. I ran up the road and got this new machine. I really love it. I don't think she's ever used it.
I love it too.
Yeah,
Mom.
she's never used it. I think that Clay, her husband, said that he has actually used it more than she has.
That's true. He did make a dog bed many, many years ago. I think that was the extent of our big sewing escapade.
All right, we are just about there. Okay. Stacy also talked about and mentioned the scissors. Now, I have this golden rule. Golden rule. Fabric scissors are for fabric only. Paper scissors are for paper. You never mix the two.
And even myself, who does not sew, knows that it is a cardinal sin to use the fabric scissors on anything other than fabric.
Okay, so now that we have indeed got our two pieces of fabric together, now what we're going to actually be doing is, as every seamstress would be doing, we have to go ahead and press open this seam allowance. That makes so that when indeed we turn this fabric inside out, we have a much crisper edge. So again, removing all of our pins. Let me quickly go run over to the ironing board and get those seams pressed.
Go.
Okay, as they say, and we're back. So my seams are pressed. Didn't take a whole lot. So now what we're actually going to do is, of course, turn it inside out so that we get our finished mask. And when I say finished, the beginning of a finished mask, I should say. Now, the instructions, and I found this out once again through trial and error, which is basically how I sew, through trial and error. The instructions had you actually placing that clear window prior to turning it inside out. Well, I ended up just holding that window the whole time. It wouldn't stay. So, now that of course we have gotten our fabric turned right side out, again, we got to go back to the ironing board because we need to once again press so we have some very clear, crisp edges. So, again, let me go run to the ironing board and I will be back. Okay, so I realized that I already had one of the smaller masks under construction. So, not having to go run to the ironing board, as you can see, I pressed the edges and have inserted the window. And that window is simply just that clear plastic. Again, utilizing that tape to hold it in place as I am sewing. So now what we're going to do is take a very close edge and simply top stitch all the way around this mask. So let me get to the sewing machine and see if I can get that done. Okay. All right, so here we are working on our top stitch. Just following the lines of our pattern. Hopefully carefully going around, because I've been told that these are going to actually be used by the staff. I don't know. Once again, do not critique the quality. I'm confident that all the others are doing a much better job than I. But as I said, I'm always willing to help. And I promise also to clean up the thread. So as you can see, we've just simply worked now around the exterior of the mask. So now we need to go in and go around the clear mask. Although, ladies and gents, I'm looking at this and I don't like the way I see the mask installed. So I'm going to pull it out and see if I can do a better job. Let me see. Okay, so as I said, trial and error. I have readjusted the clear vinyl window because, again, I was seeing something that didn't have a good appearance to it. So let me go ahead and quickly top stitch that window. All right. Clear window secure. As you can see, we've got our top stitching done. Now the next little trick is to actually start constructing, if you will, the mask. Couple of steps that aren't difficult, it's just that it's good that indeed they're accurate. One of the primary things that we're doing to create this particular nose and chin piece is we're going to run a seam along the tops. In order to create that, though, we need basically for them to meet. All right. And like I said, if this were my sister, she would just whip it right out without a pen. But no, I've got to pen.
And if it were Stacy doing it, it would be all made with duct tape and a stapler.
Where's the fun in that?
Hey, there's lots of fun in that, right? Where are my crafty girls that are watching this? They might get me.
Notice we're trying to create this V, because again, that's going to be another help for us. Okay, so let's get a little top stitch going here and top stitch going here. Never a good sign when your machine wants to be a little
Glitchy.
whirly. See, never a good sign. Let's see what we got going on. Okay, so now that we have created our top stitch, what we're now going to do is to create a pocket for our elastic, as well as creating this little tuck. Once again, the purpose of that is so that we have a covering for our nose and a covering for our chin. So, simply what we are going to do is we literally just kind of fold and align, if you will. And when I say align, the fabric here should not be beyond the fabric here. So we just simply fold and then fold again, so that what we're doing is creating our pocket. As I stated again, you know Susan, she's got to use pens. So again, what we've done is we have created a pocket for our elastic. We're going to stitch along here, and then what we end up with is end result, so that you have the ready to put in your elastic for a pocket. Now, one of the tricks that I use is I simply take a safety pin, I pin this to the safety pin, and then just simply use that safety pin to feed through. so that once indeed we've got all our elastic around, obviously you have to secure it so that you end up with an end product that has just simply elastic rings. Very simply put, hopefully, as I stated again, a very novice at this. I'm hoping to plan and to try some different patterns as well, but these seem to be working for right now. Thanks for letting me join you two, or you people, all of you. Sorry, you can tell I'm confused. But it has been a great afternoon, and I hope to see each and every one of you sometime in the near future.
Thanks, MountainCare.